Teenage son insists on uprooting our family for his pregnant girlfriend 3 states away, but I'm demanding a DNA test first. I'm 30 years old, a mom of 5, and I'll be honest, my life hasn't been exactly typical from the start. I became a parent as a teenager. My oldest, Ollie, is now 15. I also have kids who are 2, 6, 9, and 11. Somehow, despite every possible disadvantage, my husband, we married at 18, and I clawed our way up from rock bottom. We finished our education, found work in trades, and built a stable, comfortable life, something I'm intensely proud of. It wasn't easy, and every inch was hard-won. Ollie's been friends with a girl named Bree since he was 7. Our families used to live in the same city, and the two of them grew up side by side, with matching friendship groups and shared childhood memories. Over the years, Bree's family became familiar faces. We weren't exactly close friends, but always polite, friendly enough to share a drink when our paths crossed on video chats or at the kids' gatherings. About 18 months ago, Bree's family left our city and moved 3 states away, chasing the promise of affordable rent and decent jobs in some tiny rural town. We'd spoken with them a lot about the crush of rising costs. My family has seen friends forced out of the city for exactly the same reasons. Since then, Ollie has not let up about moving as well. He pitches us on cheaper houses, better jobs, that life would be simpler there. I listen, but none of it fits our careers, or makes sense for me, my husband, or our younger kids who are deeply invested here, their schools, sports, friends. The very idea of selling our home, switching jobs, uprooting everyone, none of it was on the table, and I explained that to him, over and over. Then Christmas happened, and Bree's family came back to visit. Ollie and Bree saw a lot of each other. I'd assumed they were always with friends, in groups, supervised. I was wrong. Now Bree is pregnant. There's no denying it was intentional. Ollie has never lacked for sex education, not from me, not from my husband, not from school. I even made sure he had access to condoms, because I know firsthand what happens when you restrict knowledge and options. He absolutely knows how babies are made, and how not to make one. Ollie immediately insisted I had to uproot everyone and move us to be near Bree and the baby, his baby, as he says, though we have no proof yet. I told him no. I didn't feel I owed a reason, but when he asked, I told him straight, "You're 15. We don't even know for a fact that this is your child yet. I'm not destroying our lives, our stability, and certainly not your siblings' lives, because of this. You are not moving there alone before you're 18. After a DNA test, then we can talk about how to manage parenting plans." I ended it the only way I could. "You made your bed, Ollie, now you have to lie in it." He took all that straight to Bree, and the fallout was immediate. Her parents cut off all contact with me, branding me a terrible person and telling me my demands for a DNA test are cruel. My own son is angry, blaming me for keeping him from the love of his life and his future baby. He throws my own history in my face. If I could do it as a teenager and make it work, why can't he? Honestly, I have no idea if I'm doing the right thing or not. I'm angry, disappointed, and terrified all at once. After years of clawing my family up from nothing, it feels like the life I fought for is suddenly teetering, like all that hard work could come undone in a matter of months. And I still have no idea what will happen next. Update 1. She's due around the 22nd of September, so there's no talk of abortion, and honestly, I don't think adoption was ever a real option for anyone. Last night, Ollie admitted the truth. This whole pregnancy was planned. Bree came up with the idea as a joke, but it somehow transformed into an actual plan the two of them acted on. When it comes to communication, Bree's parents absolutely refuse to talk with me directly. They'll only pass messages through my son. I've heard it myself, standing outside the door as they told Ollie, "Tell your mother, insert info here," admitting outright it's because they just go off on her about that bullshit. The things they say about me, while talking with my own child, are unreal. They seem genuinely horrified. I would suspect Bree's intentions, especially since I've known her for more than half her life. They won't speak to me, period. There's no way I'm letting Ollie move out there alone. Bree has broken up with him twice in the last 18 months, each time for another boy she fancied in her new town. Both breakups happened last year, in August and October, over the same boy. When things didn't work out with that guy, she crawled back to Ollie. Bree can be sweet, but let's be honest, her behavior has been toxic since childhood. Her family life isn't much better. I do like her mother and stepfather, but their relationship is rocky and the home itself is just chaos. 9 kids in a blended family, 2 or 3 teenagers struggling severely with mental health. Ollie would be losing all the structure and stability he's ever known. I won't budge on wanting a DNA test. I'm becoming almost ready to cut Bree's family off from any contact because all they do is empower Ollie's resistance against me and his father. Speaking of his father, a man of few, and often unhelpful, words, he's been on my side with all this, but all he's really contributed is, "You have the intelligence of a pair." Update 2. Ollie handed over Bree's parents' email address so I could finally reach out. Before I used it, though, I insisted he get Bree on a video chat with me present. The plan was simple. I'd ask her face to face to get her parents on the call, so I could discuss everything directly. I told Ollie ahead of time, either this happened, or I'd cut off communication altogether. At first, he flipped out, but I think he genuinely understood why letting her parents speak to me only through minors is unacceptable. He said himself that he wanted his parents and Breeze to actually talk. Bree joined the call, saw me, and hung up immediately. Ollie tried to call back several times, but she wouldn't answer. She texted asking why I wanted to speak to her. Ollie explained that I needed to talk to her mom, and that if communication didn't improve, I would cut off all contact until her parents spoke to us directly and we could make a plan for the next few months, including the DNA test and birth arrangements. He added that if the baby was his, we'd travel there for the birth and be present for the first few weeks afterward. He told her I was pretty sure it's his, but that I want to make sure everything is right from the start. Well, Bree blocked him after sending a curt reply. Ollie is heartbroken. He's not eating, sitting in his room all day and night, not even mad at me, which is the surprising part. Now he feels sorry, both for himself and for us. He's honestly sad and, I think, finally regretful. He even asked me if there was a way to undo this for himself. I haven't mentioned anything about signing over his parental rights, his father's words, male abortion, but I think that's just Ollie being crushed by the moment. Then a mutual friend from here in our hometown showed Ollie a few social media posts Bree made in the last 24 hours. Posts like, "It's you and me against the world, baby girl," and memes about deadbeat dads. She's publicly announced her pregnancy now, including single mother facts and inspirational quotes. Some of Ollie's friends had taken her posts to mean that he dumped her and the baby, so when he explained what actually went down, his friends rallied around him in the comments. I told them not to. Now Bree's blocked all of them, and we can't see anything else she posts. This entire situation has become an absolute nightmare. I had a plan in mind, a rough one I intended to discuss with her parents, but honestly, it doesn't even seem worth the effort right now. Nonetheless, we do have Bree's parents' email, and here's what I would have proposed. Bree gets a DNA blood test. We'll pay the $1,500 for it. If Ollie is the father, we'll book flights and be there for the baby's birth and the first month, maybe even have the whole family stay, then immediately begin working on a parenting plan and head into mediation for court approval. Ollie's father and I split for the first 7 months of his life, so we've been through mediation before and know the process. But right now, I think it's best to let things settle before I reach out with the email. Update 3. Her due date, for what it's worth, is listed as September 22nd. She was here from December 20th to January 7th, and during that time, she saw Ollie on December 21st and 22nd, and again on January 4th and 5th. Never overnight. When I pressed Ollie about when this was even supposed to have happened, he said January 4th, which actually made more sense considering the other encounters were all at public gatherings. They attended a mutual friend's birthday that night, but again, never stayed overnight. As someone who has given birth to 5 kids myself, I know the dates are much too close to make any cast iron assumptions that way. Update 4. Trying anything I could think of, I decided to reach out to Bree's biological father, who still lives in this town. He had absolutely no idea that any of this was going on. There wasn't any history of DV or other red flags, so before anyone judges me, I was out of options and desperate for a way to contact her. Not long after, Bree's mother reached out. She agreed to a blood test on the condition that we pay for it. Ollie and Bree spoke again, and Bree decided she wanted to come here for a holiday, to have an ultrasound with Ollie and prove the dates in person. I agreed to it, though I admit I may not have been thinking completely straight after all this stress. Bree told us she's 26 weeks along, sent Ollie a photo of her noticeably bigger belly, and insisted there was no way anyone but him could be the father. She claimed the ultrasound date had to go by her last period, but she didn't remember, so she just went off the app, which meant she used the period before. That's why the dates are off on the scan. I asked if she had a physical booklet or pregnancy notes, because from my own experience, those have all the confirmed details, but she said everything with her doctor was digital now. I didn't want to seem intrusive or push too hard. After all, it's not my medical information. Still, I can't shake the feeling that maybe I should just bring her here myself. Her mother agreed to that, and get the blood and ultrasound done here to finally settle it all. Update 5. Eventually, both families managed to reach a travel agreement. We paid for Bree to fly out to us, and her father was covering her return ticket. The plan was for Bree to fly down this morning and stay with us for 6 weeks, part of that time on our annual July 4th family vacation, then a couple more weeks at home for the ultrasound and blood test before she'd go back, sometime in August. We all decided on this together, with the hope that Bree and Ollie could at least have some sort of positive memories from this pregnancy. And of course, if it turned out that Ollie wasn't the father, Bree would go stay with her dad and we'd put it all behind us. But Bree never showed up for her flight. The night before, she texted saying her doctor advised against travel, supposed risk of preterm labor due to her age, plus severe morning sickness that meant she could only tolerate pineapple juice. Now she was facing hospitalization, and maybe even an early delivery. That's not all. There was also a group photo circulating, Bree visibly pregnant, in a tight t-shirt, arms around the boy she's dating in her new town. His hand was on her belly. The photo was quickly taken down when Ollie asked about it, but it felt like Bree posted it intentionally to provoke jealousy. At this point, I am completely done. I no longer believe Bree or her parents. I've contacted both a lawyer and a therapist, and I fully intend to see this through. I've also learned today that I can't force her to undergo a DNA test while pregnant, so I suppose the outcome will have to wait until after the baby is born. If the test proves that Ollie really is the father, I'm willing to let Bree move in with us, raise the child together if that's what it takes, even though I can't imagine anything good will come from continuing to let this situation dominate and ruin my son's life from a distance. Update 6. I didn't expect to be giving an update before the DNA test, but now I realize we hardly even need it to know the truth. Still, if Bree insists on her story, I'll get the courts involved. Our family lawyer says that's the right move. I can talk about what's happening as long as I don't mention names, places, or any identifying details. Honestly, my head has been spinning with all the advice and theories I've received. One message stuck with me. A radiographer suggested I take a close look at the measurements in Bree's ultrasound images. By calculating from the numbers in the scan, I could figure out whether the baby was really 16 weeks old at that time. That idea lodged itself in my mind, waiting for the right moment. What's always felt off is that there's only ever been a single scan, the 16-week scan. By every standard protocol, there should have been another around 20 weeks. Every OB does one between 18 and 22 weeks, but no, all we've seen is that one profile shot, the baby's face at 16 weeks, and never another update. I started feeling like Bree was hiding something, so I played it cool. No drama, no accusations, just biding my time and watching. Bree and Ollie share a circle of friends, but only one, Hannah, is still tight with both of them. Hannah believed every word Bree said, that Ollie was the father. That was before Hannah and Bree had a blow-up this week. After their falling out, Hannah reached out to Ollie, and then things took a wild turn. She sent him a video Bree had sent her after the ultrasound back in April. Bree had begged her not to show Ollie, claiming he was choosing to abandon the baby and deserved every post she wrote about deadbeat dads. In this video, I saw, as clear as day, multiple measurements being taken. They weren't for a 16-week-old baby, the readings placed the baby at 19 weeks. This wasn't just some blurry picture, these were clear, undeniable measurements. That scan was her 20-week appointment. And there it was, the due date is August 26th. Everything confirmed in the OB's voice, so your due date is August 26th, which lines up perfectly with your last period. You could see every number. The baby measured 18 to 19 weeks. Ollie couldn't be the father. He wasn't even in the state at the time. Now the truth was out in the open. Ollie knows, and he's angry, but he has a support system behind him. I honestly don't know what happens next. Part of me desperately tries to figure out why Bree made my son the target of all this. Maybe it was for more money, if you can call careful, sensible living that, but we're not rich. I keep spinning theories, but deep down I know we'll never get the real answer. I want something to be clear, I'm not confronting Bree and her family until after the baby is born. I'm not worried about the DNA results, but we'll get them just to make everything official. And even though I've got other details that make the truth even clearer, that's staying in the family for now. My gut tells me the actual father is Bree's boyfriend from the other town. But still, why did she think Ollie was the better choice? For now, it's a waiting game. But the truth is finally in our hands. Update 7. I thought I'd have more time before everything exploded, but apparently Bree couldn't keep her mouth shut about Hannah sending that video to Ollie. 3 days after my last update, Bree's stepfather called our house at 6 a.m., screaming at my husband about how we were harassing a pregnant teenager and demanding we leave their family alone. My husband, bless him, stayed calm and told him we hadn't contacted anyone in their family for weeks. That's when things got weird. The stepfather started ranting about how we'd been stalking their social media and turning Hannah against Bree. Turns out, Bree had spun some story about how we'd somehow manipulated Hannah into betraying her. She told her parents that Hannah only showed Ollie that video because we'd been feeding her lies about the pregnancy timeline. Complete fabrication, but her parents bought every word. The call ended with him threatening to take legal action if we didn't stop harassing them. I was honestly relieved. Let them try. We have documentation of everything. But here's where it gets messy. Yesterday, Ollie came to me with his phone, looking pale as a sheet. Bree had sent him a long text message, and it wasn't what I expected at all. She was confessing, sort of. She admitted the August due date was correct, but claimed she'd been confused about the timeline because she'd had irregular periods and genuinely thought Ollie could still be the father. She said her boyfriend had dumped her when she told him about the pregnancy, and she was scared and desperate. She begged Ollie not to abandon her, said she'd been planning to tell him the truth after the baby was born but panicked when Hannah showed him the video. The text went on for paragraphs, how she'd always loved him, how her family was falling apart, how she needed someone stable and reliable like him. She even offered to move back here after the baby was born if he'd still be with her and help raise the child as his own. I watched my son's face while he read it aloud to me, and I saw something that terrified me more than all the lies combined. He was actually considering it. Mom, he said quietly, what if she really was just confused? What if she needs help? I had to bite my tongue to keep from screaming. This girl had put our entire family through months of hell, tried to manipulate us into uprooting our lives, and now she was playing the victim card. And it was working. That's when my husband surprised me. He sat Ollie down and said, son, I need to tell you something about Bree that your mother and I have known for a while. Apparently, During one of Bree's visits here last Christmas, my husband had overheard her on the phone with someone, bragging about how she was going to trap Ollie into moving to her town by getting pregnant. He'd mentioned it to me at the time, but I'd brushed it off as teenage drama talk. Now it felt like a smoking gun. Ollie went quiet for a long time after that. Then he asked if he could see his school counselor to talk things through. I was so proud of him for that. It felt like the first really mature decision he'd made in months. But Bree wasn't done. This morning, she posted on social media again. This time it was a sonogram photo with the caption, 22 weeks and growing strong. The comments were full of congratulations and heart emojis. She'd clearly moved her due date narrative again, probably trying to make it seem like Ollie could still be the father. The thing is, I screenshotted everything months ago. I have proof of every lie, every changed story, every manipulation. But I'm starting to wonder if exposing it all publicly would just make things worse for everyone, especially that innocent baby. My lawyer says we're in a strong position if this ever goes to court, but she also warned me that teenage pregnancy cases can get messy fast, especially when there's this much family drama involved. For now, I'm focused on keeping Ollie grounded and helping him see clearly. But I have a sinking feeling this isn't over yet. Update 8. I thought the worst was behind us after Ollie started seeing the school counselor, but I was dead wrong. Last week, everything went sideways in a way I never could have predicted. It started when Ollie came home from school looking like he'd seen a ghost. Apparently, one of his friends had shown him a private Instagram story that Bree had posted, a photo of what looked like a positive pregnancy test, but this one was dated from last month. Not the original pregnancy, but a second test. The caption reads something like, "When you think one miracle wasn't enough," with crying happy face emojis. My stomach dropped. Was she claiming to be pregnant again? By who? It didn't make sense with the timeline, but nothing about this girl's story ever has. But that wasn't even the bombshell. 2 days later, Hannah called Ollie directly, not through social media, an actual phone call. She was crying and could barely get the words out. Apparently, Bree had confessed everything to her during a breakdown, and Hannah felt like she had to tell someone. The truth? Bree was never pregnant at all. Not now, not ever. The whole thing, the ultrasound images, the belly photos, even that video Hannah had shown Ollie, it was all fake. Bree had been using a pregnancy app to generate fake ultrasound images and had been wearing some kind of belly prosthetic thing she'd ordered online. The 20-week scan video Hannah had sent? Bree had downloaded it from some pregnancy forum and recorded herself playing it back, adding her own voiceover. I literally had to sit down. 9 months of pure hell, and none of it was real. But here's the part that made my blood boil. According to Hannah, Bree had planned this from the beginning. She wanted Ollie's family to move to her town so badly that she concocted this entire elaborate scheme. She figured if she could convince us she was having his baby, we'd have no choice but to relocate to be near our grandchild. When that didn't work, she kept escalating, hoping something would eventually force our hand. Hannah said Bree had even researched our family online, figured out that I'd been a teen mom myself, and calculated that I'd be sympathetic to her situation. She'd been playing a long game this entire time. The fake pregnancy test photo from last week? That was Bree panicking because she knew the jig was almost up. She was trying to buy more time, maybe even planning to fake a miscarriage to explain why there would never be a baby. I called the number we had for Bree's parents immediately. For the first time in months, her mother actually answered. When I told her what Hannah had revealed, there was this long, horrible silence. Then she said, "I'll call you back," and hung up. She called back 3 hours later, crying. They'd confronted Bree, and she'd admitted everything. Apparently, she'd been stuffing pillows under her shirts for months, had gotten increasingly elaborate with the fake belly, and had been researching pregnancy symptoms online to know what to complain about. Her parents had no idea. They'd trusted their daughter and never thought to question anything. Bree's mother apologized over and over, said they'd pay us back for any money we'd spent, and promised Bree would never contact Ollie again. She sounded genuinely devastated, and honestly, I felt sorry for her. Finding out your child is capable of that level of manipulation has to be heartbreaking. But I'm still furious. This girl didn't just lie to my son, she put our entire family through emotional torture for the better part of a year. She made me question my parenting, nearly destroyed my relationship with Ollie, and had me planning my life around a grandchild that never existed. Ollie is handling it better than I expected, but I can see he's hurt in a way that goes deeper than just the lies. He keeps asking me if he's a bad judge of character, if he should have seen the red flags earlier. I've told him that even adults get fooled by master manipulators, but I don't think he believes me yet. The counselor says this kind of deception can mess with your ability to trust people for a long time, and I'm worried about what this might do to Ollie's future relationships. What really gets me is that I almost feel guilty for being relieved. Yes, I'm furious about the lies and the manipulation, but there's this huge weight off my shoulders knowing there's no baby, no complicated custody arrangements, no upending our family's stability. Is it wrong that part of me is grateful this nightmare is over, even though it should never have happened in the first place? We're keeping the documentation of everything, just in case. And I've blocked Bree and her family on every platform I can think of. If she tries to contact Ollie again, we'll be involving law enforcement. But somehow, I have a feeling this still isn't over. Girls like Bree don't usually just disappear quietly, and I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Update 9. I should have known the silence wouldn't last. It's been 3 weeks since Bree's parents promised she'd never contact Ollie again, and for a while, I actually started to believe we were done with this nightmare. Ollie seemed to be bouncing back, he was eating normally again, hanging out with friends, even started talking about college prep courses for next year. I thought we'd finally turned the corner. Then yesterday morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. 17 missed calls from a number I didn't recognize, all between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. The voicemail started out coherent enough. It was Bree, crying and apologizing, begging to talk to Ollie just one more time. But by the fourth message, her speech was slurred and she was rambling about how she'd lost everyone and how Ollie was the only person who ever really understood her. I was about to block the number when Ollie came downstairs for breakfast. One look at my face and he knew something was wrong. When I told him about the calls, he went pale and immediately checked his own phone. 23 messages from different numbers. Apparently Bree had been using her friends' phones to contact him all night. The messages were unsettling. She was claiming she was in a dark place and that if he didn't talk to her, she might do something permanent. Against my better judgment, I let Ollie call her back. I stayed in the room and put it on speaker. No way was I letting them have a private conversation after everything she'd put us through. What I heard made my skin crawl. Bree was sobbing, barely coherent, claiming that since her parents found out about the fake pregnancy, her whole life had fallen apart. Her boyfriend had dumped her when the truth came out. Apparently someone from our town had contacted him. Her friends were calling her crazy, and her parents were threatening to send her to live with relatives in another state. She kept repeating that Ollie was the only good thing she'd ever had, and that she'd never meant for it to go this far. But here's the part that made my blood run cold. She started talking about a new plan. She said she'd been researching, and she could make this right. She claimed she'd found a way to actually get pregnant, that if Ollie would just see her one more time, they could start fresh, with a real baby this time. I grabbed the phone and hung up immediately. Ollie looked like he was going to be sick. Within an hour, I was on the phone with Bree's mother, who sounded exhausted and defeated. Apparently, Bree had been having some kind of breakdown since the truth came out. She'd been caught trying to catfish other boys online with fake pregnancy claims, had been suspended from school for disruptive behavior, and had been found researching fertility drugs and how to get pregnant fast on the family computer. But here's where it gets worse, and I can barely type this part. Bree's mother told me that they'd found evidence that Bree had been in contact with several older men online, men who were apparently willing to help her with her problem in exchange for other things. Her parents had immediately confiscated all her devices and were considering residential treatment, but Bree had somehow gotten hold of a friend's phone to make those calls to us. I felt sick. This girl wasn't just manipulative, she was spiraling in a way that could put her in serious danger. Despite everything she'd put my family through, I couldn't help but feel concern for her safety. That concern evaporated when I got a call from our local police department this afternoon. Apparently, Bree had filed a report claiming that Ollie had been harassing and threatening her, and that our family had been cyberstalking her since she broke up with him. She told them that Ollie had been pressuring her to have sex and that when she refused, we'd launched a campaign to destroy her reputation by spreading lies about a fake pregnancy. The officer who called was professional but clearly taking it seriously. I calmly explained our side of the story and offered to provide all the documentation we'd collected over the past months, every text, every call log, every screenshot. I also gave them Hannah's contact information, since she'd been the one to expose Bree's lies in the first place. The officer seemed surprised by how much evidence we had, and his tone shifted pretty quickly once I started sending photos of Bree's own messages admitting to the fake pregnancy. He said they'd investigate thoroughly but warned me that false police reports in cases like this often escalate before they get resolved. I hung up feeling drained and honestly a little scared. This girl has already proven she's capable of elaborate deception and manipulation. What else might she be planning? Ollie overheard my conversation with the police and immediately started spiraling. He keeps asking if this is somehow his fault, if he should have seen the signs earlier, if he encouraged her behavior somehow. I've assured him over and over that none of this is on him, but I can see the self-doubt creeping in. My husband, who's been mostly quiet through all of this, finally spoke up tonight. He said we need to consider getting a restraining order, especially if Bree's mental state is as unstable as it seems. He's probably right, but part of me worries that we'll just escalate things further. I keep thinking about what Bree's mother said about the older men online. This girl is clearly in crisis, and while I'm furious about what she's put my family through, I can't shake the feeling that she's heading towards something much worse than fake pregnancies and manipulation games. The police investigation is ongoing, and I'm documenting everything. But I have a sinking feeling that we're still nowhere near the end of this nightmare.